Привет.
Oh,
Hello.
great. Can we speak Russian further?
No, not very much. My extent
Not yet.
is привет, спасибо. That's it.
Oh, that's great, though. So, the stage is yours.
Okay, let me turn on my video here so everybody can see. I'm calling in from Florida, near St. Petersburg, the second St. Petersburg. It's very much smaller. And I recently moved to Florida from Wisconsin, which was the home of snow and cold. So I'm happy to have a little bit warmer weather, but I'm used to the Russian weather from most of my life. So let me share my screen here. I have just a few slides. I believe, Eugene, that you will be translating where necessary.
Well, I'm translating in parallel, so people will see the text.
Perfect.
We've got another Eugene who will translate in
okay.
the captions.
Let's see. Is my screen coming across? Okay.
Yeah, great.
Okay, I'll take 15, 20 minutes to take you through, I think, some fun applications, different ways of using Qlik Sense, and show you how we do a little bit of it. This is Sven, for folks that don't know. I used to work at Qlik for close to 6 years. So I bleed green, as they say, and many of the names on the line, thank you for having me, for one, are very familiar. First time presenting in Russia. Hopefully someday I'll be able to come visit. You know, it might help though if I'm new to help people understand where I'm coming from, my background. I graduated from Michigan State University with a degree in computer engineering and electrical engineering. I actually didn't do much software, but I found myself a technical person, and I was recruited by NASA. I think few folks might know the space agency, to work on robots that were to go to the moon and to Mars. But they decided that they wanted to send me after university to Antarctica for a 3-year stint where I'd have to live on Antarctica in a lab with a bunch of old scientists right out of college. So I decided I didn't want to leave where I was going, and I found another company called Epic. And Epic is a healthcare software company. I was working on things that many of you have probably touched in your life, and that's things like Crystal Reports, SAP Business Objects, Microsoft, SSRS reports. And I was building reports for healthcare organizations around the US and around Europe for many years, close to 8 years. But that was when I first stumbled upon Qlik. We had customers at Epic that were using Qlik to do healthcare dashboards, and they could run circles around what we could do. And once I learned about Qlik, I almost cried because of all the time that I had wasted on building reports and changing up small dashboards without that technology. So when I joined Qlik, this is about 7 years ago or so, I was close to 6 years at Qlik on the healthcare team. And I may have run into some of you there at connections and in different conferences, but worked a lot on healthcare. Got out on Twitter and social media, so I share a lot of things. And I joined our CSR program where I got to travel with Qlik to go work with nonprofits and charities around the globe. And I found a lot of great interest in that and continued to blossom. And it was around 3 years ago or so, I discovered VizLib, and that's where I am today. I've been here over a year and a few months now, and I get to build applications based on Qlik. That's all we work on in different industries, not just healthcare, and really proud to finally become a Qlik luminary this past year. Something that I wanted to do when I was at Qlik, but they don't allow Qlik employees to become luminaries. So I'm finally in the mix with a few of you that are on the line, and proud to continue pushing the Qlik agenda and making sure the software is the best in the world. So that's a little bit of my background. Quick thing on VizLib for folks that don't know us. We have 5 products that are packages of extensions that you add into Qlik Sense to give you advanced capabilities, a lot of control over customization, things that I found I needed when I moved from QlikView to Qlik Sense. We add in a lot of features, but we also take it even further, and you'll see some of that today, and it's fully supported. So we're a fast growing company, over 100 employees now, and when I joined last year, it was about 30 employees. So we've more than tripled in just a year. Very fortunate to be able to grow during the pandemic, but we opened up 2 new offices and brought on a good number of new customers as well, covering all the verticals, including some customers across Russia. I don't know them that well, but there is one that I had worked with a little bit. So that's all I really have on VizLib. I want to take you through my view on data and visualizations. And this is a quote, "In God we trust, all others must bring data," from W. Edwards Deming, who was a statistician. And I really like this quote, but I think it's missing something. If you just bring data to people, it's missing context. It could fall flat. It could just be ones and zeros, as we say. So I think you have to make it a good story to communicate the information across. And so what I want to do is take you through 3 or 4 different examples, things that push the boundaries of what I used to be able to do with just Qlik Sense and Qlik, and maybe inspire you to design applications in a little bit different way. So first off, I figured the audience here would be happy to hear about a little hockey game. I grew up, as I said, in Michigan, and our Detroit Red Wings, world champions, many Russian players. I grew up watching these and going to hockey games. And so I have a love of this sport that maybe not many people in the US like hockey, depends on where you come from, but I grew up skating on the ice. And so I'll take you through a hockey example. The second one is along the lines of, this Avengers QlikView versus Qlik Sense, the civil war that we may all have if you're coming from this world. And I want to show you some things that I used to be able to do in QlikView, and now we can certainly do in Qlik Sense, and are even faster, faster to develop, faster to roll out to people, and just show you some fun examples of using data. On the last one, I'm a retro gamer, so I collect some video games, not as many as Mike Torallo, who creates the Qlik videos. But I worked with him to create an application around collecting video games. So I'll show you a different way, I think, of using Qlik today to capture data and present it immediately. So it's a concept of write back, which is really popular these days. So let's jump over to Qlik Sense. Just want to check the chat in case any questions come in. And I will go much slower. Thank you. Let's start with the hockey application. This is data from a particular game that I found out on a sports website. And this is the type of data you may see. Which team won? Obviously, they had better stats. Their score was higher. The Wings versus the Maple Leafs. And you might have an application that looks like this, but it's not very interactive. I can see data, but it doesn't draw me in. So what I did here was take the game data and put it onto the ice. And so you'll see the actual rink come up now. And we see the Maple Leafs won against Detroit on this very game. And what we see in this scatter plot are the players. It's a point in time. You'll see the date here. And what I've grabbed is the data. So I can grab a player and I can see where they skated on the ice, move them around at a different point, and see the players in relation to one another on the ice. And so I can use this information to see the data and how it moves over time on a scatter plot. This is really useful not only for sports data, But if you think about scatter plots that you have in your applications, you want to see it over time and see what we call the snail trail. So I took this example and we put it into a financial application. So for Sberbank, they're one of our customers. This is something that we worked on just to show them some of the capabilities. We have our scatter plot here, and we see 2016 data. How would you normally change this and see this? You would pick a different date in the filter and see what it looks like for 2016, or I'm sorry, 2006, 2007, 2008, and go back and forth between the filter and jump back and forth. Instead, let's just see how, we'll go back to the beginning. How has energy played out? This is energy as it's moved between the years. Where was it here? And where was it here? And so we can compare and contrast different sectors on the scatter plot. We also put their logo, Sberbank's logo, in the best quadrant for the data. We want lowest risk and higher return. So ideally, we want the data here. This is a way of displaying the scatter plot in a way that is easier to understand and drives action. We want to get our particular sectors into this quadrant and see how things have moved over time. Also, you're seeing the VizLib library, which we use to create the sheet menu up top. Instead of a regular Qlik Sense application with all of these buttons, I've taken and I've just put their logo, the different sheets. This is very similar to Qlik View with the tabs for different sheets. I've taken away some of the buttons and I've created a side menu that has my years, my different filters, can pop these up. I've even changed the color of the green because we can customize everything. So I'm displaying the data that these bankers want to use, but giving them maybe a better view of things. We have a very interactive table that includes this information, and even with mini charts, completely customized. And then these are very custom KPIs like you would see in Qlik View. We'll hit edit so you can see nothing magic. This one here is one object. We'll edit so you can see. It is 5 layers, and it is a background, a title, different charts, and they're overlaid. I can move things around. Maybe I want to squeeze this in here, change this number to be a different color, make it really jump out here. That is a terrible choice. We'll pick a better one and hit done. And now we have a customized KPI that is also dynamic, and it sizes to the screen. It jumped off there. Let's see if it'll come back. I may have moved that one. But this is our KPI designer, which is really great for designing any type of visualization you may want that that Qlik doesn't have out of the box, or that we don't. You can create anything. And I use this often to create a very complex and unique visualizations. To that point, on my slides, we had our hockey one. I want to talk through this one here, and I'll use the Avengers and that movie to talk through how to get to something. One of our customers is Marvel, the entertainment company, and I built this with them to show them what Qlik Sense could do. Again, this is not a mashup, it's all native. We have visualizations with the Iron Man logo, but this is actually one big KPI designer object. As I make selections, everything updates. And just like Tony Stark in the movies or in the comic books would look at his computer Jarvis, we've created a visualization using Qlik Sense and all of the data to give us exactly what we need to see. And this would be something like out of a movie. Again, this is, we'll hit edit. This is that KPI designer that allows us to create multi-layered visualizations inside of Qlik Sense. There's 18 layers that give us things like logos, different KPI boxes, a bullet chart, and then a collection of different donut charts and dots. This might not look great or make sense to you, but it is something that you might see in a movie. And this is the fun stuff that I get to build to show people what Qlik Sense is capable of. The last one that I'll take you through is on the gaming side. And I mentioned we use write-back to capture data. So with this one, we'll jump over here. Looks like a regular Qlik Sense application for the most part. I can interact with the data. We'll pick 1983 as a year for a great year for video gaming. We see the top games based on sales in a nice little table here. We see the Atari 2600, the Nintendo had games that came out. Let's see what Atari published. Dig Dug came out in 1983. So if we click on Dig Dug, we've selected one game. Maybe I want to add it to my wish list. I remember playing it, so I'll add it to my wish list. I have played it, but I don't own it. And I remember playing this game quite a bit, so I'll give it a great rating and maybe even say, remember battling my brother in Dig Dug. We would trade off on the game. And here I'm going to submit this. It's not owned, it's not in my wish list, and it's going to increase these numbers here. So we're capturing my information, my wish list. It adds it to the list now. It has written this data back, so I've captured information on it. And so I'm using this not only to view the data, but to collect information. This is a way of capturing that data. If I look at the full table, we can use the write back table to see all of the data that I've captured so far. We'll see the entire data set, which is 57,000 video games are in this data set. I can page through each one, but I could go to the ones that I'll say I remember playing. It will go through, filter the table. I'm still filling things out, but we see some of my information here. We'll look at ones where I have some memories. And you'll see this data that I've collected. Now with write back, it's not just storing it once. We can go and update the information. Maybe Duck Hunt was actually a better thing. And I'll add it to my Christmas wish list as well. And say, Gran Turismo was a great game, but actually I spent too much time racing. So I can update multiple rows. We'll update this information and store the data and immediately tell the Qlik Sense application to reload the appropriate data. It's not going to reload 57,000 games. It just updates the few that I touched. But what if I want to see this a different way? I decided what better way than using like a Nintendo Switch to interact with the data. And so the buttons actually allow me to change back and forth between the different sheets in the application, interact with things. If I hit the home button, I can make a selection. We're looking at now Nintendo. Let me just clear that so you see that. I'm pressing this button. It makes a selection for Nintendo games. And I can see the top Nintendo games and keep cycling through different sheets in this application to get different views of the data. And this is just giving us different ways to interact. Maybe people want to use this interface instead of the interface that you have here with all of the data. This could be overwhelming To me, I love it. I'm a dork, a nerd. I love this data. But a better way to see it might be something like this, and just open up your eyes to what Qlik Sense is capable of doing inside of the application. No mashup. I don't know CSS. I don't know HTML that well. I'm dangerous, but I can drag and drop elements onto the screen to create this multi-layered experience and change things like the buttons left and right to run an action that might do something like set a variable, or in the case of this home button, make a selection in a field. Select in the field developer Nintendo. And with that, just wanted to say happy to share any of these applications. We do publish a number of these out on our website under demo apps. It's free. You don't even have to log in. You can just go out here. You could download, say, this new COVID application that we worked on with a partner, get a preview, and then come here and download the QVF. You might get a zip file if it has additional information, but we'll give you links to all of our demo apps that you can download for free. With that, I'll jump back to my slides so you have my contact information. I know I spoke fast, but I know there's other presenters too. So thank you so much for having me. Spasiba. Let me know how I can help. And hopefully it wasn't too fast for the translators. I appreciate you writing in there. Thank you, Alex. Spasiba.
Thank you so much, Joe. There was one question from our attendees. Someone downloaded your demo VizLib bundle, installed it, and they say it's going slow. How can you help them to make it faster?
Yeah, there are a couple of ways. Sometimes it's in the design of the application. I will show you this one real quick. The sheet menu on here does flicker. So the way Qlik works, when you're trying to visualize a lot of information, it paints from this corner across the top and then goes down the page. So the first thing that you put here loads first. It's a little tip for some of the objects if you put it on the screen. We also work with caching. There's a cache initializer programs that are out there that can preload the Qlik Sense application. What we find though is sometimes people are adding a lot of data to the screen, maybe many different visualizations or objects, and you can combine some things that can speed it up. And also we have an online mode. So this, let's see here, let me grab a table. This is always downloading the latest version. It's always online. We have an enterprise mode though that is installed on premise. It doesn't reach out to our server. It doesn't check things. So it speeds up the initial load. And then you have to go out to the website and update it as often as you'd like, but you'll stick on a version. So there's a newer version of the table, for instance, that just came out just last month. So if you're on our online version, it has to go out and download the software for the first time, and that can be slow. So you can look at using our enterprise on-premise version. That will speed things up as well. Cool.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you so much, Joe. The presentation was brilliant. Now I think a lot of us know more than before your presentation.